Y'all see the description. Jada Pinkett Smith is delusional. Now, this is somebody who got their start way before they met Will Smith. I give her that much. You know what I mean? Had a career, played in a lot of different movies. Inkwell, Jason Lyrics, Low Down Dirty Shame, Matrix, Ali. Even played on the TV show Different World. You know, been around. You know what I mean? But it seemed for the past few years, I don't know if it's just me or if y'all noticed, she just real different, man. You know what I mean? Like the way she acts, she kind of like makes you wonder about Will Smith because, and then I ain't gonna lie, like some celebrities, entertainers, sometimes just act like it's still the 90s and 80s or some shit like that or whatever, like 2000 on back or something because a lot of y'all was better when you didn't do interviews and really talk like that. It seemed like the more and more y'all talk and do interviews and express who you really are, you become more not likable type shit. Like, who I remember when she had a show called The Red Table or some shit like that, where her mom, and her daughter would all be on there discussing different topics and shit like that. And she was talking about the situation with the singer, fuck his name, August Alestina, whatever his name is. And that was Jada's friend, I guess. And she cheated on Will with him and said it was an entanglement. You know, maybe she take accountability behind closed doors, but it seemed like publicly she's a self-centered asshole. You know what I mean? Because you had a career, don't get me wrong. I just named several things you did and been a part of, and the list goes on, but unless you got some secret investments type shit we don't know about, a lot of your notoriety from a lot of your notoriety, Will Smith plays a major part on that shit. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're a success story. You came from Baltimore, all that shit, Shakespeare acting and all that. You knew Tupac. You claimed you was madly in love with him, but let's be real, when the man was alive, yeah, y'all was friends and shit like that, but he the one who wanted you. You didn't really want him like that as far as relationship type shit. You know, when a person passed away, they could flip the story 30 different ways how they wanted to be flipped. You know what I mean? I even heard her during the interview say one time she sold drugs. It's like, where the fuck you had time to sell drugs? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of them need to just stay away from the camera and just, when it comes to personal shit, just leave that shit off the record. You know what I mean? Because entertainers, if it ain't reality TV exposing who they really is and how they really are behind the scenes, it's interviews or them having a sitcom or, I mean, not a sitcom, but their own podcast or some shit. And And then because they got a following, they be like misleading people and shit like that. Like this, like sometimes you ever watch an interview of someone, like I'm watching, like I watched Jada, and you just can't believe some of the shit people say. Like she's talking like she just want to be self-independent. Like she's never experienced self-independent before. Like her being with Will, she just been with Will her whole life. Like before Will, you didn't uh, experience, being self-independent as far as you choosing your couch, your microwave, and all these different things you're talking about in the interview that you get to do now. That you don't have to ask anyone what they feel about this color or how does this look over here in this room and shit like that. Like you expressing yourself, like you finally is finding happiness, and it's like the American dream is to get married and have kids and have joint bank accounts and separate bank accounts and live the American dream. You get married, get all the American dream, and that's still not enough for you. People like that, man, I be questioning myself like, it's nothing that can really truly make you happy because if you had the American dream as far as a husband, kids, stepkids, and you financially stable, I thought that that was the American dream right there, but like I said, it's like the more and more time go on and entertainers doing interviews and the shit that they just expose themselves to and make you really just dislike their ass. Like, they say rappers be misleading people, movie stars do too, you know. One thing I realized about self-centered asshole people like her is they'll never take no accountability. Like they always looking to point the finger at somebody for any little reason. You know what I mean? And then they use it and say they're not happy. You know what I mean? When we can go down plenty of places, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you too, sweetheart. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hit that like button. But we can go and travel around plenty of places and show you what alone really feel like, and people out there who really desperate for love and shit like that. Ricardo 9648, what's up, family? Y'all gotta excuse me, I can't find my lighter. But to me, like I said, she she just weird. I don't know, man. Like she is like you successful as far as you produce shows on the lowest shit like that. You know what I mean? It might have been under the Overbrook Entertainment because Will Smith got his own film company called Overbrook or some shit like that. And she's released shows and done things and shit like that under that company. You know what I mean? And like I said, played in movie roles, but I remember at one time, Will and Jada was like the bar for like black couples as far as rappers would even use them in their bars, like referencing them to the point where it's like, if you looking for love or a bond or ride or die, people was using Will and Jada. And a lot of times, man, we only see what's presented to us, you know what I mean, outside the house. We always assume everything is peachy, especially with people who be on TV. You know what I mean? Because we got to remember they're actors already, so you know what I mean. They pretty much good at what they do. You know what I mean? It's kind of like an illusion, like they present a certain way, an image, like it's fairy tale. In reality, it's really dark and sinister. You know what I mean? But a lot of times we won't know that unless a secret video come out and expose, or they come out with their own podcast, and the more and more they get to talking about certain shit, you get to slowly thinking to yourself like, man, I don't really like this person. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when Arnold Schwarzenegger, before he became governor of LA, people fucked with him, even black people. And then when he became governor, you know what I mean, that exposed a side that people didn't like. And then he had the Tookie Williams situation where he could have stopped that shit, and he like nah, and let it ride. And then he ended up dying on death row. And if you don't know who Tookie Williams is, look him up. He like one of the co-founders of the Crips or some shit like that. But a lot of times, man, a lot of them celebrities, people, man, just need to shut the fuck up, basically. You know what I mean? Like, whatever way you want to, whatever image you want to leave your fans to think of you, you should just let it ride off like that. But to me, it's like she's been talking for so long and so many years, disrespecting her marriage, claiming her never ended love for Tupac, which is they had love for each other, but it wasn't like that. Put it this way. Look at it like this. If it was if the love was so undeniable, I mean, why you and him weren't together then? You know what I mean? Like y'all wasn't even together for 90 days or 2 months or anything like that. Like y'all was literally friends. You know what I mean? Before Tupac died, like that song he made, I Get Around. Yeah, he get around. Madonna, the biggest names you can name of, Janet Jackson, all type of people. When did he have time to even be in a relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith? Let me know. From him going on tour with Digital Underground, doing movies, she starting to do her thing. Yeah, they collided on the TV show A Different World, but they was living two separate, different lives, especially when he was with Death Row. I just feel like she just ungrateful. You know what I mean? And I feel like for a woman to act the way she act, you act in a way as if you know something, like, you know, because you figure like this, right? When somebody, your partner, right? They know your darkest secrets, you know what I mean? They know everything about you, you know what I mean, as far as what you present to them and shit like that. So for a person to act like that, to always go on public platforms and make your marriage seem like it just wasn't a good choice and shit like that, you must either caught this person in the act of something, or you must know something about this person, because you the only one who doing the bashing as far as putting private shit about your marriage to the public out there. Will Smith ain't doing that shit. But Will Smith is a blow pop. He's a candy store. He's a sucker, because you don't supposed to go on her show, Red Table, and talk about, sit across the table and let her tell you why she cheated, but she didn't say it in that language. She said an entanglement. And you just sit there like you just off of Adderall or some shit in La La Land. You know, it be some strange shit, man. To me, I always be feeling like this, right? Like, why can't people just get the money and just be normal type shit? You know what I mean? Like, why the fuck motherfuckers, their kids grew up weird, get to doing weird shit, want to experiment. 1 minute you in rap, 1 minute, next thing you know, you gothic or some shit. And then you're a skateboarder 2 months later. You don't know what the fuck you want to do. You going through hella identity crisis and shit. You know what I mean? Me personally, I give Will Smith a lot of credit, because I wouldn't tolerate that shit. To me, like, one major trait that I just don't like, and that ain't got nothing to do with a female, that could just be with anybody, is like, you can't be ungrateful and forget, you know what I mean, your place when it comes to your nigga or your man, whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? You don't ever supposed to get to the point where And a lot of men be players by the shit, you know what I mean? Men, you got sucker niggas out there, but women be the ones quick to try to air some shit out though, like, and then a lot of the times it's only going viral for that moment because people just want to be entertained type shit, you know what I mean? The player, he go about it in a way where he don't give a fuck who believe and don't believe or whatever you believe, you know what I mean? That's you. I ain't explaining shit. You want to believe that, fuck you too type shit. You know what I mean? Going over there on that side of the fence. You know what I mean? So, to me, Jada Pinkett just come off where she just ungrateful. You know what I mean? You always got to be appreciative, man. It don't matter what vibe you and a person on, whether y'all getting along or not getting along. You know what I mean? Somebody asks about somebody, if you ain't got nothing good to say about them, what they say, don't say nothing at all type shit. But it show you that them celebrities be having a dark life because out of all the people around you, you mean to tell me, out of everybody around you, from hairstylists to people who worked with you for years, who've been around you, instead of venting to them, you go on your phone, go on live, or go on your podcast or sitcom or whatever the fuck, and just splash your business into shit over there. Back in the day, women had a diary, you know what I mean? If you had any type of feelings about your marriage or you ain't like some shit, you wrote it down in a diary, you know what I mean? I guess diaries are just used for like resolutions now. You don't even write your feelings in no bitches no more. You just hit the live button and just talk crazy. And then the thing is that people don't know is that you listen to someone talk crazy about somebody and the views, the likes, and all that shit is up, but that same person is still trying to connect with the person that they shitting on. But that part be left out the story though. Not the person who they shitting on trying to connect with them. The person who is doing all the talking is still trying to connect with the person they shitting on. So how the person is that bad then if you still trying to connect with them, but you shitting on them though? You know what I mean? Motherfucker want to have not one hand in the cookie jar, both of them in there. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's on a person to allow that type of behavior. You know what I mean? And to me, I feel like if a person allow that type of behavior, you act like this person got some deep, dark shit on you. You know what I mean? Because at some point, enough is enough type shit. You know what I mean? Like, shit, when you in that life anyway, y'all be separated so much. I mean, it's like, you might as well go ahead and stand alone. You know what I mean? Shit. But, you know, some people just got their own views and ways of how they go about shit. You know what I mean? So I was just sitting here thinking to myself, watching videos of her and the shit she was saying. And it's like, you can't really justify banging your son's friend. And then, you know, but she been messing, that ain't the only dude she messed with, she been messing around. You know what I mean? Because they married. You, like I said, you don't know how people marriage is. Like some people got understanding, like they might be swingers and shit, like, or they just, you know, people use this, you trying to find myself type shit, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, God damn, how much finding you got to do? It's like you 60 years old. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, my nigga, you still trying to find yourself? Like that ain't no good thing. You know what I mean? Like that's not good. You know what I mean? You still trying to find your fucking self. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So, like I say, that celebrity lifestyle shit, man, that shit don't be all, you know, the pictures and the videos and the interviews make it look like it's just a hell of a lifestyle, but in reality, it's a lot of shit that comes with that shit. A lot of dark shit, you know what I mean? And you gotta have a strong stomach, you know what I mean? You ain't got no strong stomach. What is finding yourself? Finding yourself is self-discipline. And self-discipline is meaning is you cut everything off and strictly focus on yourself. No sex, just strictly you. You know what I mean? You ain't even chatting nothing sexual with nobody. And that go for man or woman. You know what I mean? Self-discipline. That's why you hear me say self-discipline. That's what finding yourself is, meaning where you cut all outside activities off. All you do is either hustle and work in this hustle and pay your bills and focus on things that you got to do that's important. You know what I mean? That's what I consider finding myself. Not finding yourself. It's not still going to the club or calling that person and just because you bored and asking them what they're doing and then hey, you want to step out, you want to go here and but you ain't finding yourself. Finding yourself is isolation. You really lock it down and trying to think and figure out. Right, my boy said facts, and try to think and figure out all facts of your life and circle in and narrow in the exact problem that you feel you have that you need to correct. You know what I mean? And people want to say finding themselves is going out or going out of town or going on a yacht or going, that ain't finding yourself. Finding yourself is no sex, no exchange of saliva with another soul. You dieting, you trying to focus on your health. Even if you don't get haircuts, all of a sudden now you're trying to pick up, get more haircuts. If you're a female, you didn't care about taking care of your hair like that. You wore wigs. Now you're trying to tell yourself, I'm finna start investing in myself and taking care of my fucking hair. Like, finding yourself is self-discipline, what I preach on here, you know what I mean? So that's what it is, you know what I mean? Anything that go wrong from day to day or week to week, you trying to narrow it in and correct it. I feel like every Friday, now I ain't gonna say Friday because, well, I'm gonna say Friday, or every Saturday morning, we'll say every Saturday morning, we all should have a self-discipline and cleansing, meaning like playback from the last Sunday. Did you eat too many times at Taco Bell? Did you take too many Ubers? Did you know what I mean? Rewind everything back and what you felt you did the most on, that's the shit that you cut down on. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, when they say I'm finding myself, is they really doing it or they just bullshit? Because from what I see, you still doing the same shit. You ain't cut back on nothing. You know what I mean? You ain't trying. You know what I mean? When you trying to find yourself, that shit comes with a lot. You know what I mean? Meaning like people who forget who you are may take your isolation the wrong way. You know what I mean? They think that you acting funny, but you ain't acting funny. You just on a path right now where it just requires you just being isolated as fuck. And sometimes it may take a year or who knows how long. It don't come with no timetable, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, situations that happen in life happen off choices we make. You know what I mean? And some people can't recover from certain choices. You know what I mean? Some choices, some situations, and choices that people make get so deep that they can't recover from that it, either results in life sentence or death. You know what I mean? But the thing is this, and this goes with the description. You know what I mean? Like, it don't matter how much money you get, how much fame you get as far as life or anything. Don't forget when the person you met, when they had the fame and they was humble, before you start watering your tree and growing branches on your shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that'd be the problem. Like, you'll see somebody and they'll flip the story of their life how they want it to be. And if you know them, you be like, that shit ain't even facts, you know what I mean? But it's like jail. Your story, your way. You got 4 yachts, a boat, and you can fly to fucking Spain and go pick up a bitch and bring her back, you know what I mean? You can't even dispute that, you know what I mean? It's your story, your way. You know what I mean? But at the end, it don't matter what ethnic race you is or anything, you have to be grateful. And if you're gonna be in a relationship and be married, you have to show that you're grateful and be appreciative. You know what I mean? It don't matter what terms you're on, good or bad. You know what I mean? You don't ever air out your differences on a national platform. You know what I mean? We see that shit every day where people record domestic disputes now. Yes, if you're in a situation you feel your life is at fucking danger and your partner, whether it's male or female or whatever the fuck y'all is, two females and two niggas, you know what I mean? And you feel like record some shit to save your life or show people what this person, okay, do your thing, but we talking about people who just feel like they just forget all the people in their phone who they normally talk shit about their partner to anyway. You say fuck them and go on live, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And then it's stupid because guess what? When you get off live, even if you and the person part ways, it might not be forever. Then a month later, Valentine's Day pop up. Guess who come across the rail? The couple who just throwing the nigga shit over the balcony, talking about how the nigga don't got a job and all this shit. And he bashing her back how, you know how that shit go. We see it, you feel me? So, you know, I had made a statement one time saying some shit like, it seems like people get close to you. It's like phones. It's like phone data. Like, okay, I ain't been around you in 6 months. The data you got on me is from 6 months. You know how much shit happened within 6 months? You know what I mean? So the shit that you saying is old, you feel me? You ain't been around me since. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when we're allowing people to talk shit about somebody or say anything, sometimes you need to ask them, well, when was the last time you've been around this person? And some people are gonna lie, you know what I mean? But it's okay though, you know what I mean? Because vibe and energy is everything, and if you're a vibe and energy person, you're gonna know they lying. You know what I mean? But people are just like phones, man. They try to come around you and collect your life, but your life is data. Because that way, when you expose your life and what you're going through, all you doing is tickling their insides like a tickle me elmo, and they celebrating and shit. Then they go back and call somebody else and then call that person, yeah, he fucked up. Yeah, she fucked up. Woo, 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 yeah. You know what I mean? So, me personally, be careful. You know what I mean? And this don't apply to no specific. This is all just, you know what I mean? Just, a way of life type shit. You know what I mean? I ain't even gonna say game, just a way of life type shit. Like, you have to truly be careful. You know what I mean? Because I always say this, and I said this before. You ducking the enemy in the streets, and the whole time you sleeping with them. The most dangerous person is the person who feel they know the most about you. You know what I mean? And that's what they feel now. That don't necessarily make it true. About them feeling like they know everything about you. You know what I mean? Now, some situations, some people do. But in certain caliber of niggas, you don't know, you only know what I allow you to know. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you gotta be careful. Don't be like Jada Pinkett Smith. You know what I mean? You all on fucking YouTube saying shit that don't make sense because I could pull up interviews from 10 years ago. You was trying to find yourself then when you was fucking with such and such and such and such or whatever. And like I say, for her to be doing these things and openly doing it, you know what I mean? Maybe Will just smoother than her, but she know though, you feel me? You know what I mean? What Will be doing. But to me, I feel like if you're a woman and you openly just be saying shit, right, about y'all personal business, we ain't talking about no ghetto hood rat shit where a bitch go live and, you know what I mean, you just saying goofy ass normal shit and people just tuning in because it's entertaining and shit like that. You know what I mean? But we talking about you going on there trying to justify your actions and it ain't wrong. You know what I mean? Instead of owning up to it. You think talking about entanglements and why you doing the things you're doing is justifying and releasing your guilt. In reality, it's not. You know what I mean? Like that's some shit you keep between you, Will, and the therapist or yourself. Like I say, bitches don't even got diaries no more. Back in the day, they had diaries. They could write the shit down, and it was, you know what I mean? Now they just the fucking going live or, you know what I mean? Just exposing. You know what I mean? Like I say, then when you seen with the individual, you look stupid. Especially if you ain't seen with them or you still contacting them, you look stupid. Call logs and all that shit and text messages don't lie. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, just be careful. You know what I mean? I always say this, you know what I mean? To me, people got a problem with being alone. There's nothing wrong with being single, man. Save yourself a headache, or not even a headache, a setback because you and somebody might not even truly be on the same page. A lot of y'all mixing sex moments with love, and it ain't even love for real. It's just y'all just compatible when it comes to y'all having sex together. You know what I mean? And sex turns into kids, and y'all don't really know each other, but y'all trying to be together. I want to be committed, but I don't want to. It comes with a lot. So just keep your fucking legs closed and find yourself really and just fall back, you dig? But don't be like Jada, man. You know what I mean? Have some class about your shit. You know what I mean? Because I thought the American dream was kids like what they got, marriage, and financial stability. We ain't got to put no amount on it, but we're just saying, right? And a lot of people will say, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Because you just want to be financially stable, meaning like where you could go to Tahiti and everything is paid for as far as your bills, and you ain't got to rush back from Tahiti and worry about catching up on this and that. You feel me? So yeah, you know what I mean. Um, I thought that was the American dream, but apparently to some people, that's just not enough. You know what I mean? So y'all already know Try Gang TV. You know what I mean? Appreciate y'all tapping in with your boy. Share this video, hit that like button, comment, go to my YouTube post, check for updates. You know what I mean? Go all to my old videos, turn them up. You know what I mean? Share, comment on them. You know what I mean? Until then, Try Gang TV. We out.